talkshoe.
Recorded live.
Everybody, it's October 17, 2014. This is a trial simulcast with New York with Paula Gloria and Joe Barton, and also with Kate of Gaia in Canada. And we also have Earthica Star over in the Rockies. I'm Angela Stark, and we have a full board of people on TalkShoe. If you all want to get on the chat, that's talkshoe.com. The call ID number, if you care to participate, is 39904. And Paula Gloria, it's all yours. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Angela. And again, I want to say thank you so much for making this happen. My hope is that through the internet we can achieve the dream that we have had for a long time about the communication throughout the world. Is Kate of Gaia on?
Yep.
At this time?
I am here with you. Yes, I am here.
Oh, wonderful. I just want to read something that I got from China. He's a cousin of an old business partner that I had, and it was just fascinating because of the things that he was interested in our culture, and of course, we interact about his too. Kate, I sent to him your long article, which may not be appropriate to read right now. It's called "As Per Your Fraud," and his comment about it was, I had the following thought after reading the article. I think the main point is presented in Gaia's interview, the link you sent. In the show, Gaia gives us the touch that she is happy and refreshed. This is great because this is how U.S. Constitution wants U.S. people, the pursuit of happiness. I always think that is the philosophy, the Tao, the pillar to grow a culture. I got this thought long ago when I saw on photos the huge pillars of ancient Roman architecture, and then he has in parentheses Greece. Why are pillars being needed? Why are they still there? My imagination is that once the sea is rough, like nowadays, the first thing to do is to put a pillar in the swirls. Then there is a place to stand, a tranquility. Therefore, a culture will start from such a point, a pillar. I also guess that is a wisdom from early civilization, our ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago. Only being oneself happy is not enough. We must spread the method to others and do good for others. This is the meaning of civilization. I think this is what you and Gaia have been doing. Good souls you are. So thank you, Kate, for joining us.
Paula, let me just say, can you back off of the mic maybe just a little bit?
Oh, okay. Thank you. And keep telling me.
That's better.
Okay, any comments, Angela?
No, not from me.
Okay. Okay, for me, people have been following us in Manhattan, particularly because of going to housing court a lot and challenging the banks and the management companies. So when the eviction came so swiftly, when we were expecting after two defaults in housing court, when the man who bought it in fraudulent foreclosure didn't show up and the judge said she'd rule on our motions uncontested, I was just stunned that instead of doing that, and our motion was for dismissal, that instead she had signed apparently a warrant for eviction, but we were not able to see our file for over 6 weeks. Therefore, when I came across Kate's work, I don't know how I did. Oh, it must have been on your show, Angela. And I read this about the fraud and the legal name, and I thought back on the steps that had been taken. I realized it was the seeking for identification that always prefaced some horrible action happening.
Can I
that's why
offer something here for you? I'm going to take you even deeper down the rabbit hole. The truth of the matter that people don't understand. Just as a little preface for me, for those that haven't heard me before. First off, I'm transgendered, so that's why the voice is low. Okay, I get that out of the way right away, just so people aren't confused. And it might even be more so now, but you know what? If you can't get past me, you'll never hear what I'm going to share. Here's what's really going on in the banks, and this is why you can't fight a foreclosure, because you're not the owner. you're the tenant. And what has actually occurred here is a very forensic hoodwink. And I outline it in there's two essays that will pinpoint this for anybody with even the remotest of legal understanding, which I don't play in the legal matrix. But if we're going to target something, let's go right to where the source of the problem is. And it was the day that you sat across the desk from somebody to get the loan or the mortgage. You don't get one without sitting across a desk from a living being, right? So what happens here is, now there's two worlds operating at the same time. They're oil and water. One is the dead fiction, legal. Everything legal is dead and fictional. And then there's you and me, the breathing, living. And I won't say body because that just clouds the issue. I take it right out of that whole box. So there's your two worlds that you're dealing with. And what happens at that meeting is those worlds get mixed together. That's where the deception occurs. A contract can only exist between two living beings. That's a fact of law. So if you have two living beings using two dead legal names, there's your oil and water. So what in essence has occurred when you signed for that mortgage that you thought you were buying your home for, here's what really happened. When the sheets were slid over to you to sign them, they were already pre-signed by that individual with an X. That's a signature. So what you were actually doing is co-signing their loan, promising to pay their loan for them, and they're the ones. That's why you don't get the check. The check's always cut from the bank. You never see that money. It always has to go through the account. And what happens there is the check is cut on behalf of the bank manager or loans officer who is a slave or an employee for the banking corporation, which has a board of directors, the liable ones. And what happens then is a sleight of hand. The bank manager buys your home and convinces you that you're the owner, that you're really only the slave renter, that is not only going to pay that loan for them, but you're going to pay interest on it as well, and you don't own the house. Plus, you're required to take care of it. So it's quite the hoodwink. So if you're going to go after a foreclosure, go after the individual that you signed the deal with and have them charged with fraud. And then you're going to see some results. So the two essays I'm referring to are the Loans and Mortgages Who's Who. That's on the kateofgaia.wordpress.com site. And look at the essay called Midas Touch. Because not only is the signature, here's the hidden world that people don't see. You hear all these legal people talking about UCC and the signatures and 3-418 and all the rest of the nonsense. I've been there. And this is all I've done for the last 5 years, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, quite literally. So I'm kind of up to speed on what's been going on. And I was motivated. Let's just say my whole universe was shredded by the system. So I thought I'd get even in a very gentle way by taking their whole system down, and this is how we do it. So what people need to understand is who they're cutting the deal with and how was it sealed. And therein lies the crux. The most potent thing on a document is a raised seal. That's a fact.
Actually, can I read, Kate, can I read that from your document? Because I was going to read the whole one.
Okay, well, here, about another 20 seconds, and then give you a little preface to it and go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What essentially happens with the Midas Touch is that you become the underwriter by signing as a co-signer to the X that was already written and signed. The document was signed when it was given to you, so you sign as a co-signer, plus you're pressing down with a pen. And whether it's, I don't care how hard you push, it's still putting an indent in the paper, so it makes you the underwriter. And not only that, when you push the paper back, you've sealed it with your DNA when you touched it. DNA on top of the paper is a raised seal, but you didn't see that. You didn't know it. But then you might want to check out your detective stories, and they go looking for things like, DNA, fingerprints. So that's what I've been doing for the last number of years. So there you go.
Okay, okay, so it's about 6 pages, so I'll just get to the part you were talking about because I want to talk to you about DNA. What is really happening is that you are creating a loan for the bank manager, not yourself. It is the bank manager that is getting the money to buy your house that you think is yours, but then you'll look at the agreement and see that you are only deemed tenant. It is the bank manager that is the land, property, home owner, not you or the bank itself. You were presented with the documents prepared by the bank manager for you to sign. What you don't realize is that the contract is completed not when you sign it, but when you agreed to get one in the first place, and then it was sealed when you touched it. Did you use gloves to sign it? Not likely. And it was your DNA and the DNA of the bank manager that sealed the contract, not the ink. When you begin to realize the DNA connection, you begin to see why your DNA was grabbed as a baby with both footprints and blood taken. This was done to create lawful joinder with your DNA. Excuse me, Kate, do they do that today? Because in 1952 and 51, when I was born, I don't think, did they take my blood?
If you were in a hospital, likely,
really?
yes. I was born in a house. Yeah. There's a whole lot of other sinister stuff that goes on in the hospitals. I actually have their bond rating sheets for mothers, and I actually have a copy, photograph of the actual footprints and from the same individual. So I'm very lucky to have this. It was a nurse that had looked the other way for a friend of mine while he took photographs of it with his cell phone. So I've got a couple of very interesting documents in my computer. Most importantly, too, remember that this is all about making something a living document. Paper is dead. It's dead. So what they need to make that paper alive is literally you touching it. Even breathing on it will leave germs and molecules that are alive. You don't see these things, though, right? But they're there. You can't say they're not. You know, now that you're aware of it, you can see it. And that's what I do, is I make people aware of the things that they haven't been looking for. The very obvious, I missed that. And that's what I've been looking for.
I think that's really nice to have such a sharp perception, because even yesterday on Angela Stark's talkshoe, my private audio, Carl Lentz was talking about how he did a case over in England, and afterwards he won the case. The barrister was talking to him, but he kept his hands underneath his armpits, so he didn't want to shake hands with him, and Carl was saying he's never kind of overcome his embarrassment to ask, well, why do you do this? But it must have something to do with...
A handshake is a contract.
That's what I said.
That's a handshake's a contract, and no harm to Carl, but he still uses a legal name, so he's under the illusion that he won to keep him on that silly track that he's on. And people have to understand this very, very quickly. Your soul's on the line on this. Now, you don't have to believe me. I don't really care if you do or not. Your soul is on the line on this. See, this is not a physical game. This is what we figured out. And I'm not even going to get into that tonight. Let's keep it as literal as we need to. I don't want to get too deep with people. But let's just say there's a much bigger game afoot than you're aware of. And I think just with a couple of things that I've shared, you might have an idea that I do look for the things that you weren't looking for. And I found them.
But in retrospect, you begin to realize how important they are. When something happens swiftly, completely in a different direction, you go, how did that happen? And then you start to backtrack. But let me continue on this paragraph. It says, this was done to create lawful joinder with your DNA and the name with the consent given under seal when your parents registered your name, and is evidenced with only a copy of the original sealed document in the registry book. Yes, your DNA can be connected easily to mom and dad, where the mitochondrial DNA from mom is the permanent record of all lineages back. What has happened when you seal the deal with your new debtor called the bank manager is that you are merely the guarantor of their loan and our secondary status in this arrangement, because the real holder in due course is the bank representative, and why you will never see the original again, because it is not yours to ask for. All the liability of the loans, every one of them, is on the shoulders of each and every living being that works for and in any all financial institutions and is party to any all loans, etc. Now, I just wanted, maybe I'm missing something huge here that you can clarify for me, but I discovered some years back, someone sent me an article that scientists in Israel were acknowledging that the DNA signature is not accurate. So I blasted this off to some experts that I knew, and one answered back and said, open secret among us DNA guys. but he would never acknowledge it again, and he wouldn't go on camera about it. And every time I find scientists that say they want to, to enlighten the population about what real science is, and you get the feeling that they're frustrated about the restrictions of academia. I brought up in one case, I was doing the control room for another producer at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and I told this scientist, I said, I heard the DNA signature is inaccurate. And he said, yes, that's so. And I said, well, that's terrible. He goes, I said, for example, people are going to, maybe go to death row because of this. And then his comment was, well, it's a pity when this science spills over into the legal world. And I was just stunned. I said, he just dismisses this as the legal world? This is people's lives are depending on it.
Can we take this to the next level, please? Because that's not what the contract is about. These are just the physical clues that led me to the understanding of what the real contract is. These are all the devil in the details. And what I find most of all, especially those caught up in the legal nonsense, is they're focused on all the details, and they're not looking for the root causes of things. So the easiest way to describe a contract is simply this. If you agree with something in your mind and heart, you are already in contract with it, whether you've signed anything. This is where we move into the realms of consciousness and the true contract of agreement, right? And what has gone on here more than anything else? Now, I just want to bring this back real quick. The DNA, that's just a clue as to getting to this point. It's one of the many clues. But let's take a real look at what's going on here. And it's a very simple process that I can walk you through, take about 2 minutes, to show you what is really going on and why the legal name is the crux and the literal pivot hinge that the whole system is built on. It is all of the baskets in that one egg, and I'm going to show you why. I'll use myself as an example. Now, both my mom and dad are passed on. So what we have is they're passed on. So we don't have what I don't have is sorry?
Oh, passed. I didn't understand the word. Passed.
Oh, they're passed. Okay, they died. There, they kicked the bucket, and there we go. I told you I was in my mainstream mode. anyway, if people listen to my regular show, this is an entirely different version. So here it is in a nutshell. So my mom and dad, when they got together to get married, when my dad asked my mom to marry him, the contract was sealed when she said yes. No wedding required because it's nobody else's business. Mom and dad knew they were married. In that instant, that's where the contract was consummated. Okay, so now that we have that, what ends up happening is mom and dad thought, oh well, we'll get married in the church, give up our marriage to the church, and of course the state, because you have to sign all that little paperwork, church and state stuff, right? So what they do is they surrender the marriage to the crown. Literally. And just a quick update for everybody. There is no United States jurisdiction. There's no Canada jurisdiction. There's no UK or Australia or India or whatever. These are all jurisdictions. They're little pieces of the same big puzzle, which is only one picture. And the picture is the Crown Corporation, City of London State. And it all goes back there, and I can connect that one later if you guys want. It's really, really simple. But there's no such thing as a Canadian or an American or Irish or anything. Not in the legal sense. That's all fiction. All right. I just happen to be from there, and that's where I kind of dropped into this body on the first breath. So there's the key. Oh, wait a minute. Mom and dad decide to get together. The marriage is owned, so all agreements contained within the marriage are owned, surrendered, given up to the state, willingly, if not in ignorance, but willingly. There was a fraud and a deception with intent there to begin with, so that's all null and void at this point. So what we have now is mom and dad decide to get together, and I have an older sister, and there's myself. So when they got together to create this body, I wasn't there. That's pretty clear cut. You weren't there.
Not even the twinkle in the eye?
No, nothing to do with that. I mean, it's a different game. We'll get into that part later if you want. That's the fun part. But here's the most literal truth that I can share with you to show you this forensic, spiritual, absolute truth. Mom and dad got together. They're the ones that created the body. It was mom's egg and dad's sperm. That's pretty straightforward. If you want to understand that in a legal sense and how they played that one out, just look up Ward of Admiralty in Black's Law or read Invocation of the Cross on my writings. And that's a big outline of exactly what I just said there about the marriage agreement and kids. But what happened was mom and dad get together, sperm, egg get together, bam, there's a little zygote, or gamete rather, the gamete interfallopian transfer gift. We'll get into that at some point. But that's mom and dad's property. If you want to go to the Carl Lentz version of living people being property, let's just call it that then. So there's the living body that's growing inside mom that's property. And as soon as they register a name, as soon as they figure out, well, is it a boy or girl, whatever, in my case, well, whatever. But what they did was they put a name on that ship. It's called an escutcheon. I know, I'm a riot. You'll get over me. Don't worry, guys. I did. Anyway, so what happened was they named the ship, the vessel, the Vital, the body. Well, that's mom's the shipbuilder. Dad was the contractor, right? So they get together. It's all played out perfectly in Admiralty. These guys, it was like reading a comic book eventually. But anyway, at that point, as soon as they registered that body with an escutcheon, a name, in the registrar's book, what they did was they surrendered all rights to that ship or vessel that they created. You see, you don't get in the body until the first breath. That's where the spirit enters. That's you. That's the trees of life. Gemini lungs. Yeah.
Kate, going back to that model of the Admiralty, why are ships given over? I don't know anything about shipbuilding. And the metaphor is a powerful one.
It's the same as a car.
That can go over.
When you register a car, you're giving up the body of the car. Even when you get in it, you're the spirit getting in it in a physical body. But you're still a spirit that drives the car. The car doesn't do anything without you, right?
But have other civilizations done it this way, where they have to register their cars and their ships?
Well, you see, back in the day, people weren't quite so bright, where they would just blindly follow Religio Costa's Chosenitis leaders in their funky gowns and smoking handbags. And that kind of fell apart in the late 1800s with the spirituality movement. So that's when they started shifting into the legal stuff around 1913. That might ring a bell with you. Yeah.
But wasn't Admiralty before that, when you're giving up your ship and things like that? Still is. We're going right back to what people don't understand is the law that you think of as Roman law today is actually based on Phoenician law that was 900 years before. Now, what I also figured out with Phoenician law was that they corrupted it. Phoenician law is based in sound, not sigils. So, phonetics, right?
Phonetics, yeah. Basically, multiple meanings within a word, or sound. More accurately, multiple meanings within a sound. Okay, and
so the Hindus call it nama and rupa, name and form, like that.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Egyptian king. What's his name? King Menes. Nice name, huh? First pharaoh, King Menes. You can pronounce it means as an average. Okay. Just for those that don't know me, I've cracked the phonetic code in English. Every sigil, I can tell you, way beyond what you ever thought a word could mean. And it's quite something. It's quite magical when you get there. But this is exactly the trickery of the magistrates. That's why they won't play with me, because I own them. I'll give you an example of how they play with you. Here's a typical free man on the land. Okay, you ready? These guys are crazy. But anyway, that's why I hated when people associated me with those idiots and sovereign citizens and whatnot. No, I'm not a monkey chatter. I'm looking for a solution here. I'm not here to fight.
Well, it's how you get a soul to be a corporation, how you get
and
the interfallopian transfer you talk about in this very deep article about the fraud, using Black's Law, page 757.
These again are the literals, and that's why I explained what is a contract. A contract is anything you agree to. That's it. If you agreed to it in mind and heart, if you said, yeah, that's a good idea, you are in contract with it. This is, the expression, careful what you wish for? That's what they mean with that, because every thought you have is a contract. It's a wish. Remember, we're dealing with a neutral consciousness here. It doesn't have positive or negative. It simply has creation. Right? And it will create everything that you are thinking. This is why it is so critical in order to keep the superpower that is humanity. And this is, Oh, if you guys knew the gift you were walking around in, you wouldn't be so, yeah, you wouldn't be so wasteful. But anyway, I'll tell that little story. One of my favorite Buddhist stories. It's a beautiful story. Where was I going? The contract is in the agreement, and that's where people need to be. It's got nothing to do with in the literal sense, it's got nothing to do with anything physical. It is all spiritual, and people are caught up in this physical matrix, right? So I'm outside of that matrix, and there are many of us that are. It took a while to get some people out in the first place, but now that they're out, they're going, oh, now I see what you're talking about. And it really is, and it's not difficult at all. It really isn't. It is simply a choice, and the choice is this: are you a legal name, dead paper fiction, or are you? And you have to decide which one you are. You can't be both. You can't be oil and water because they don't mix. Okay, this is your awakening. This is your test to see if you actually know who you are. And if you think you're a legal name, then you expect a tombstone with all caps on it. Uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter. It's all the same. If it is a legal name, I don't care how you write it out. I don't care if it's written in Arabic, Chinese characters, Korean characters, Russian characters, Greek characters, or English characters. It doesn't matter to me. Right? See, that's the joke. Those are squiggles on a piece of dead paper that people give power to because somebody told them it means this, and it's a spell. That's why they're called spells, and that's why you have to learn spelling. And that's why the teacher wraps your knuckles when you don't spell it exactly the way they tell you, because they want to keep that sound reality in common speak, building this nightmarish world where people are doing it completely unaware that they are. So I became aware of what we're doing. So I stopped doing that, and I show others to stop doing that as well, because you're just destroying a planet. You're destroying your soul. So getting back to the
if you're not,
oh, go ahead.
If you're not the name, are you also not the body? Because you were talking about the copyright saying
that
it actually owns the body.
Now we're getting there. The copyright is the physical effect of the spiritual agreement that you are that copyrighted name. Okay? Copyright is legal. It's not real. And the only way I can show this contrast of oil and water is to use the literal that people keep getting caught in. So now you can get an idea of the quagmire that I deal with all the time, to not only show people what's really going on, but I have to explain it in a very literal sense where they're used to thinking in that literal sense in a certain programmed way. So I break programs. And I can be pretty rough when I do that. But it's only because of the harm I know you're doing, not only to you, but to humanity itself. And I think, if you knew what I knew, I would hope that you would share that with me as well. That's why I share this.
Right.
Right. So the bottom line is this. The agreement Mom and Dad did, they built the body that you jumped into. Like, they built the car, and then you got into the driver's seat through the breath, okay? That's how creation works. This is that flow game. Hermetics and Kabbalah all at the same time. So what happens now is, if you agree that you're that legal name, then you're the one keeping Mom and Dad's contract in full force and effect. Yeah. Cool, huh? So what Mom and Dad did unknowingly was they convinced you that you were that legal name. They even started creating identification for you and birth certificates. And now for those that are paying attention, have a look at some of the UK birth certificates in particular. I put mine up online a few times. Well, it's not mine; it's Crown property. But it says right on it, warning, not to use for identification. Yeah. It's what's that?
I said you slipped.
Oh no! I just showed the contrast real quick, right? So it's okay. I'm human. Did I mention I'm human? Oh, that's right, I am. But anyway, the point is, it says right on it, not to be used for identification purposes, and it also gives a caution. There are offenses relating to falsifying certificates, i.e., creating identification with it, that come off the birth certificate. So here's your catch-22. Here's how you get screwed. Okay, one, they want you to claim the birth certificate, okay, that it's you, that it has something to do with you. And when you think it has something to do with you, because it's a copy of the page in the registrar's book. Now remember, it's the book that's copyrighted, not the name. So anything that appears in the body of the work is copyrighted, whether it's a name or not. Now a title is something like Mr. or Mrs. or Captain or Queen or whatever. Those are titles. You cannot copyright titles. A name isn't a title. It's the body of a work. So what they're doing I'm a musician. I had my own publishing company. Copyright law is something I am rather well versed in, having, my own writings and what have you. So there was a time that I was very protective of that because of people stealing my, music, right? So, and it did happen. It's kind of funny. I feel, what? You can't write a song? You got issues?
It happened? You had work stolen?
Oh, yeah. I've had not a lot of songs. Probably about 3 or 4 songs. I never did anything with them, but it was just interesting to see. Well, thanks for the compliment. You think that you need to steal someone's songs to, well, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. That's why I couldn't sell out in Nashville. They wanted my songs in a publishing deal, and as a writer and performer, I said, no, thanks. So I came home. But anyway, long story there. The bottom line is this. If you agree to be that name, then you are empowering the contract that Mom and Dad had through the registration book. Now remember, Crown agent members from the courts, the bar members, judges and lawyers, they have what they get when they get the bar card. And by the way, every lawyer and judge is a citizen of the City of London state, because Middle Temple Bar is in the City of London. And I don't care if you cross the bar in Arizona, Timbuktu, Alberta, Sichuan province. I don't care. It's the same bar. It's in the City of London called the Middle Temple Bar. And what you get with a bar card, I've had a few discussions with some people over the years, I've been around, is you get permission of right of use to the Crown copyrights, which means they have access to the copyrights in the books, which means that their legal name, they have permission to use. Now, I don't know about you, but I never got a letter from the Middle Temple Bar saying it was okay for me to use a legal name that Mom and Dad stuck on this body that I had to remove, and it was like pulling off a Band-Aid that had been grown into your skin 2 inches. Okay, I got rid of it. Okay, so you really need to understand that. Now, you've heard people. This is one you can throw it at Carl and a few of the other crew. Do you know why lawyers are foreign agents? No one ever proved this. Yeah, I said, yeah, I know they're foreign agents. So I went looking. And of course they're foreign agents. They're citizens of the City of London. It's a square mile inside the City of London, England. London is a country. And go ahead, look up the Mansion House, City of London. London. That's a country, okay? Just like the Vatican, just like Washington, D.C. These are 3 city-state countries. And everything is ruled out of the square mile in the City of London. Period.
Do they have diplomatic immunity among themselves, the Vatican, the City of London, and the District of Columbia?
Well, why would they even worry about that? They're the ones that are writing the rules.
They're the untouchables.
Yeah, well, no, they're not.
They're all the same kind of like cabal?
Parasites. No, I don't call them.
Are they?
They're parasites. That's all they are. Let's just call them what they are.
Are they living the same? Are they foreign to each other, or do they have diplomatic immunity to each other? The reason I'm asking is now we're moving into China and India. Well, I guess India's always been kind of under the control of the British.
Yeah, they gave India back the right to self-rule in 1948. But when the Redcoats left, when the armies left, did you notice what they left behind? The same thing they did everywhere. Opium wars in China, they left behind courts. That's the secret. Yes. That's the secret invasion, the courts. And Kur-T means heart of crucifixion, or it means the heart of the law.
It means the heart of what?
Yeah, see, this is Phoenician. Kur-T, court. Kur, heart, French. T, lowercase t is a cross. It's a crucify. And the uppercase T, this proves that in Phoenician letters, by the way. The uppercase T is the law of truth, which is love, law of they. Yeah, it all plays out very easily. The law of verily, verily meaning truth. They comes from that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
You were also talking about the expression to shoot the bull means to talk. You didn't really explain why it meant to talk. Why is that? Is it that you have to sacrifice a bull before you're allowed to talk? I mean, in court, we were never allowed to talk. We never, ever got to bring forward the merits of the case
because
in 1 year.
I know, because you were in dishonor. You were using property of the Crown in a legal setting. The instant you go into a legal setting, all legal copyrights fall into place. Legal only exists in their illusional little world, and their illusional little buildings, and their illusional little pieces of paper. These people are powerless. Absolutely powerless. And I've proven it more times than I care to count. They don't come near me.
But I guess the consensus of the overall population is that we need to have these legal fictions in order to manipulate how we get along with and who owns what property and things like that. Well, what would the world be like if we didn't have it?
Well, see, that's where I just tell the whole planet, hey, why don't you grow up? That's just a bunch of kids. But I want that cookie. You know, that's all I hear in humanity. And they go around the planet killing each other to prove it. It's sociopathic psychopathy. You know? I can really get into that one if you want, but I'd probably rather not tonight, because I don't want people really understanding what they're doing to themselves. But I'll tell you this right now. The legal
You don't
world,
want them to?
Well, we'll get there. No, I do. Of course I do. Oh, let's go back to shoot the bull. Let's play the non-literal,
yeah.
So we're not caught in this matrix again. So let's go to the non-literal.
Okay.
All right. So shoot the bull means to talk literally. I can prove it. This is what when I say the word anagogic, this is what I mean by anagogic. It is the highest mystical understanding of an expression or an understanding. So shoot the bull is what is called an allegory. It's just another way of saying, let's go and talk. That we can agree on. That's a standard. Yeah, it's not very common so much anymore. It used to be all that. I mean, to me, as soon as I heard that, I thought, oh, I know what that means. You know, go shoot the bull, or you have the other versions, but generally they leave the bull part off. You know, let's go shoot the bull blank, right? Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Which is an Ayurvedic remedy, I would remind you.
What's that?
In Ayurvedic medicine, cow dung is a very important remedy for certain diseases.
Yeah, but here, I'll see and raise one. Your own urine's your perfect medicine, but you don't see many people looping that, you know. So, you know, that, and that, by the way, shows up in the highest meaning cartouche in the Egyptians. Urine therapy was the secret of the gods. Yeah, it's called philosophy.
No, urine therapy was used in a leper colony in India. You know, rather well. So when you actually go around and study how these civilizations, you know, have endured outside of this matrix that you're talking about, the British bar and so on, people can be quite resourceful and hand-on very valuable information. We think, ooh, how icky that is. But my God, look at what happens in a cancer ward with the chemotherapy.
Okay, well, can we get
let's get back to shooting the bull.
Honey, I really, I need you to say this to
Thank
me.
you, Angela.
I don't want you going off, please. I'm going to ask you this because this is why I don't do shows.
Gotcha.
Okay, because it goes off in some spin-off in fear porn and literal nonsense. I get it.
Right. Angela, you take over.
There we go. Okay, shoot the bull as an anagogic allegory. What an anagogic does is it proves the allegory means what it says literally. So I'll show you how shoot the bull means to actually, you're saying that I am talking, I am creating, right? Everything you say, Latin, the word say in Latin means himself, herself, itself, which is all of creation itself. Okay, so that's the whole. If you want to call it the Holy Trinity, that's fine. That's why you go into a court pro se for all of creation, right? And it's also prose. Creation's a poet. I know this. It's a fact. But anyway, shoot the bull. Shoot means to put forth, to push out. Okay? Very literal. The is actually another word for, you might erroneously call it God, which is actually a hex. I call it simply the heart of all creation. Creation itself or consciousness. The all. It's the law of truth in the bridge duality of consciousness, THE, okay? Then you have bull, which is an allegorical meaning for a creation field. The bull is in Taurus, which rules the throat and mouth, right? Throat. You might pronounce it throat, but it's spelled THROAT. So it's a very literal throat. So that's why it's called a throat. I proved why every word means what it means. And it's really cool. When you get this trick down, everything just opens up. So what we have now is to eject all of creation from the torus field, the mouth, into the torus field of creation, consciousness. So it means to literally talk. Pretty cool, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you take an allegory. You prove the allegory, and an anagogic is proving the allegory means what the allegory is saying literally. Is that... It's not an easy concept to grasp, so that's why I'm going to stop here. You get that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where else do you want to go? Where else do you want to go shopping? I've been on all the malls. Let's go.
Paula?
Well, on a practical level, I listened to that 29 minutes, and I talked to Earthica Star about that, of the man who seemed to be in a courtroom in Australia.
Oh, Pete.
Was that where it was? They had those thick accents, and Earthica said she couldn't understand it very well, but Joe and I were following it. And
what are you talking about?
He's talking about the issue with Pete down under there. He's been on for the last 3 nights. We've been playing the court audio. Now, remember, Pete's just one of many dozens of situations. We have nothing but victory. That's all we talk about. So what do we win today?
Let me stop you there for a second. We've gone 40 minutes so far, and, I just want to let people know, if they want to read more of your stuff, they can go to your website, kateofgaia.wordpress.com, and Paula Gloria and Joe Barton's website is, Freedom First Party. That's freedomfirstparty.net, and that's FREEDOMFIRST party.net. Kate of Gaia is KATEOFGAIA.wordpress.com. And then Earthica, she hasn't been on yet much, but she's got a Blog Talk Radio. You can go to blogtalkradio.com/Earthica Star, just like it sounds, EARTH.
She's in the Rockies.
Yeah, EART.
She's in the Rockies, and
Let me just spell it out, because I don't want to keep doing this. EARTHICASTAR. Okay.
And one more really easy website.
Go ahead.
Because you can find all my stuff there. This website was built around what we've been doing. My writings and everything are linked there. This is really easy. LoseTheName.com. LoseTheName.com.
And then there's my website, which is myprivateaudio.com. Okay.
There you go.
Continue on.
And let me just interject here real quick. You can also go to YouTube, which is also Earthica Star, all one word.
Right.
Oh, she's on. Great.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, here,
since
we're tossing them out there, there's another great website on YouTube that does all sorts, not just mine, but all sorts of wonderful truth videos. This guy is the most diligent individual I've ever seen collecting shows and putting them on YouTube. It's Lightworkers Media, and Giuseppe is a rock star. This guy just parties, and he plays and has fun with this truth, and he's quite the character. And boy, if there were 10 of him on this planet, this game would be over.
Lightworkers Media, did you say?
Yeah, Lightworkers Media on YouTube. Just go to his channel, subscribe, and he. Is
that Lightworkers or Lightworks?
Lightworkers Media.
Okay. Thanks.
On YouTube, and every show he archives for us on YouTube, every single show.
Cool.
Including this one.
Cool. Okay, Paula, take it wherever you'd like to go.
I got a great idea, Paula. You want practical?
Yeah.
Do you know many people that are caught in the fraud of the tenant foreclosure thing?
Yeah. 14 million.
Okay, well, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's show the system that we know what's going on, shall we? You want to play? I play world scale. I take out popes and stuff. This is what I do.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's simple. The only challenge that everybody needs to make at this point is they need to locate the individual that they signed the deal with. You better get to my website and read up on this. But here's what you need to do. You need to file a fraud. If you're going to play in the legal, let's we got to play this at all levels. I am free and clear, but I know that this game has to be played within and without. I am purely out for the reason that someone had to be purely out. So that's what I'm doing. So what I do now is, because I'm purely out, I get handed all this really cool information from consciousness. It just shows up magically. But anyway, what you need to do...
Has anybody done this through the bank manager?
What's that? No, not that I'm aware of. I've put this information out before. You see, I'm caught in the quandary that I have the exact same situation where they stole my house the same way. But here's my quandary. I'm pure. I cannot go back in. Do you understand that? How much did I want to, and with the knowledge I have, to have a field day? But what it would do, it would taint where I am and where I've got to. I will not relinquish that. I do this on behalf of humanity, not me. If it were up to me, I'd be in there ripping and stripping, okay? But I know how important this purity is to keep the legal name completely free and clear from at least one of us. I'm it. And I know a few others that they're completely free and clear of. But here's what we need to do.
I can accept that. Does that make sense to you, Angela?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I want to know, Angela, what you think.
Let me just interject again. It's exactly where I'm at too, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the same situation, losing my home with that my grandparents built and designed.
Yeah, they're thieves. They're parasites and thieves. So here's what we can do. Here's what the people that do not have the wherewithal right now to get right up to speed, but I'll tell you where you're going to throw the fear, the absolute fear into these people in the legal sense. Because remember, most of the judges and lawyers don't know this. I know that for a fact because I've dealt with some of the higher parasites, right? They didn't send in the slugs for me. They send in the best they got. And I even made a judge that one of them, I made him bow on a video. You might have seen that. Judge bows to sovereign.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was me.
Of course.
Right? So they don't scare me. So now you see even more of how hard it is for me to stand. I am standing outside like a coach. There's a team, and you know what you want to, because you're the player. You're the best player on the team, and you're the coach of that team. And I'm not being arrogant or conceited here. I'm just trying to show you a
no,
concept.
I see what you're saying.
Okay, you know where I'm going, right? But I can't.
No, I do.
I can't go on the field as much as I want to, and I do. I so desperately want to get on the field. So what I do is I get people that are in the field up to speed enough so that they can inject these absolute terrifying facts into the court. That's what Pete did. That's what Mike McLean did. That's what
Alan did. That's exactly why I handed Alan the ball.
Okay.
Because he can walk in there and do his thing, and I'm out of it.
Well, here's what you need to do, people. You need to find whoever it was, if it was a bank you dealt with or a loan company or whatever, preferably someone that was dealing with a bank, okay? Because not only are you going to put the individual that defrauded you by signing the document first, and by the way, now that you've got that individual, you can subpoena that mortgage now. You get it? Good. I thought you might catch on. So what's happening now is you've got the real guilty party. They might not know it. I guarantee you they don't. But every bank manager and loans officer that's ever cut a loan, they are liable for every penny themselves. And the board of directors that they were working for, because I can guarantee you the hierarchy in the bank that they begged and pleaded as an employee to be a part of didn't tell them either. So include all of the board of directors in that fraud charge. Make sure the legal department gets it. And I got lots of neat stuff you can send to the legal department too. This is what scares the bejesus out of them. Truth. You might as well go after the right
bank
person.
Managers know this?
Nope. Boy, won't they crap themselves.
Excuse me?
I just watch. Don't take my word for it. I mean, if you're going to fight, in a court, you might as well go after the right target, because as a tenant, you can't go after the house. But you can go after the fraudulent individual that coerced you through deception and non-disclosure across a desk in a bank somewhere, that they defrauded you unknowingly or knowingly. It doesn't matter. Ignorance of the law is not a defense of or from it. Oh,
absolutely. Wow. That's what we're going after them for. Part of it is the conspiracy and the deception that's written right into those contracts.
Yeah, but again, go after the right individual. I guarantee you there's not many bank managers out there that are up to speed on legal stuff. I know. I've talked to a few. They're idiots. They're programmed idiots.
Right.
So,
no, we're going right after the CEO and president of the bank.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. If you're going after the bank manager or loans officer, include the entire board of directors. And by the way, you might want to put a subpoena out for all the shareholders of that bank as well, because they're all liable too. They profited from it. They profited from the avails of the crime. Do you see how big that fractal is? One domino takes them all out.
Now you see the importance of socially responsible investing. You know, to really understand.
Okay, don't go off the literal on me now. Okay, I know that's literal. Money is the root of all evil. It's created off the birth certificates. I do not talk about
anything that's motivated by money. Just
okay. Do you know what the whore of Babylon is? It's commerce. The mark of the beast, legal name. Read Revelations 18. That's what I'm performing right now. That's the script. It's a great script. I'm going with it.
You know, that's what enslaves most people. What they're doing is they're motivated by money.
Yeah.
All they can see is, winning means, did you get the money? And it's not about that.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm out 1.2 to 1.4 mil, if you want to talk money, in terms of 48 years of my life. Never mind. That's nothing. They destroyed my entire family.
Yeah, me too.
They made the closest ones to me absolutely terrified and hate me because of how hard they came against my family. No, I know the parasites. I know them by name. And don't worry, consciousness knows them too. I seek no vengeance. And I do not claim injury either, because if I claim the injury, then who owns it? I ain't claiming nothing. I own nothing. So guess what happens at that point? Those that intended the injury are now the claimant of the injury, because they're the ones that were the cause in the first place. So I just give it back and mirror it. And I watch the world change around me on a daily basis. There's some powerful information, guys. Do not take this lightly. This is the magic key of information.
Yeah, they want your soul.
Randy Steele in Woodstock, and I just want to interrupt to say that we're going to lose the local public access station right here at midnight our time. Okay. So if you want to hear this program in Woodstock, tune your FM radio to 104.1, and this is WIOF-LP, Woodstock 104, and also the public access TV station that we're saying goodnight to. Please go ahead. It's now open-ended. It's all up to you. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And, by the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong and more.
There you go.
Perfect. The truth is everywhere. Honest.
A person I used to like to listen to on Angela Stark was Constitution Man, and I remember him saying that when people go through foreclosures, they rarely come back. It seems like it's a journey in the underworld, and I'm thinking of mythological stories where people would go into the underworld and sometimes emerge with great gifts. Do you feel this is what happened to you, Kate?
What we're dealing with is the allegory of the Minotaur in the labyrinth. What you need to do is go to the very depths of yourself. The Minotaur is in you. All the masters taught the same thing. I do like to reference Jesus. I call him J-Boy. I reference Buddha, Muhammad, all of the masters, Krishna, all of them, because they all told the same story, just different subplots, but it's the same story. And the bottom line is in terms of Jesus, the Christ, don't confuse the two. Christ is a state of mind. It's not a man or a woman. Okay, this is what people really need to understand about this. It's Buddha the Christ, Krishna the Christ, Muhammad the Christ, Moses the Christ, Jesus the Christ. All these characters that have been played out through history are all teachers of the same story. I just learned how to read the story. A master of this is Bill Donahue. For those that really want to get a good understanding of multiple storylines being brought together, Bill is a master at it. And hiddenmeanings.com is his website. Spend some time there and really understand what these books, the Quran, the Bible, the Vedics, and all these, he covers them all. Okay, and he shows where everything is the same story, just different subplots with different characters. It's like watching, have you ever seen a movie that reminded you of a movie that reminded you of a movie that reminded you of a movie? They all have the same sort of theme, which they all do anyway. But you know what I'm talking about. Remakes of remakes of remakes.
That's all we ever see anymore is remakes of remakes of remakes.
Because that's the truth of what this reality is. There's only one story going on.
It's like we're on a loop.
With 7.3 billion subplots. Okay, you know what the greatest story ever told is? You. That's what the masters were trying to teach you. This is a game of finding out who you really, truly are. Can you escape the physical matrix? Are you going to get caught up in the chemtrails and the money? And are you going to get caught up in that? Or are you going to finally put all of these childish things aside and step into the role you were really meant to play? I do want to share the Buddha story at this point because I think people need to know how rare being human truly is, so that they're not just wasting this most precious of gifts. Humanity is the crowning jewel of consciousness. It is the pinnacle of creation. It is exactly where thought manifests, where word became flesh. And we got caught in the game. Just like the movie Tron. The game creator got caught in their own game. But we also left a default to get out, and that's what we found. Okay, the story of Buddha and what it means to be human. If you could imagine the vastness of the oceans of the world, in all of those oceans, there's only one sea turtle, swimming around aimlessly, just looking and playing and being and doing whatever. And every hour or so, it'll surface to get a breath of air, and then it goes back down for an hour or so. And it continues to do this. Now, on the vastness of all these oceans is a ring floating, just one solitary ring. And it's only large enough to get over the turtle's head, if by chance the turtle were ever to surface with its head through that ring. That's how rare it is to be human. Because to be human is as rare as that sea turtle surfacing and putting its head through that ring. Do you know how rare an enlightened human is? It's 1,000 times rarer. So at least now you know who you are. So do not throw this gift away. To be human in this consciousness, in this universe, is the most profound of gifts. The most profound of states of being to discover yourself in all of consciousness's glory. And that's what the teachers are trying to show you. Even Jesus came and said, God is like you're gods. And he said, do not worship me, be as me. Now go to Revelation, say 20:21. You'll hear a line along the lines of, I kneel down to worship him. And he said, do not, for I am thy fellow servant. And the true greatest story ever told is how to become the true servant of servants, because only the servant can understand what it means to be master. And what has happened here is so many have lost their way, where being a master has been turned into slavery and control.